Hi there. How are you guys doing today? My name is Dawn Baker, and I am an artist and a children's book author, and I live here in Gander in Newfoundland and Labrador. And I'm sitting here right now in my own living room, curled up on my couch next to my fireplace, this is a place where I like to get sometimes when I'm reading a book. And I thought that I might read a book for you today. But here behind me, before we get started, I wanted to let everyone know that not only did I write this book, I also did all of the paintings for the illustrations. And two of them are here behind me. And the long one that's here on an easel is one of my favorite illustrations from this book. The book is called Fogo, My Favorite Corner of the Earth. And it's about a beautiful island that's just off the north shore of Newfoundland, which is a much bigger island. And this is a picture of Squish Studio, which is one of the studios there where people can go and paint and spend some time. And the day that I was there taking pictures and doing a few drawings for this book that I was going to write, it was super windy, which is not unusual, and the waves were coming in. The ocean was just the most beautiful shades of blue. The sky was glorious, and it's just such a beautiful memory for me to look at and see how nice it was that day when I was in Fogo. And right here you can see another illustration that I did for my book. And this one, I actually use my own hands as a model, and I would just try to picture how it would look if I were holding the paintbrush and doing some paintings. And these are both in watercolor. Most of the paintings that I do for children's books are in watercolor. And I do a drawing first. And then I start with the water paint, and it is just one of the things in life that I enjoy doing the most. So as I said, the book is called Fogo, My Favorite Corner of the Earth. And I'm going to read it for you. If you have the book at home, you can look along, and you can look for the illustrations inside the book that I have the paintings for right here. But if you don't have the book at home, don't worry, because the illustrations will appear. Thank you to Peter at Flaker Press for doing that for me. So just sit back and relax, get comfortable, and I'm going to read Fogo, My Favorite Corner of the Earth. Keith was an islander 2 times over. He lived on the beautiful small island of Fogo, which was just a short distance away from the much larger island of Newfoundland. Keith loved his home. He and his friends spent much of their free time exploring all around it. Fogo, after all, was known as one of the 4 corners of the earth. One day, he was checking out what the tide had washed in on Sandy Cove Beach. While there, he spotted an artist at work. He knew that's what she was because artists have been coming more often lately, and he had spotted them before. Keith was really interested in the artist because he also loved to draw and paint. Maybe you do too. I love drawing and painting almost more than anything. It's something that I enjoy and will always enjoy, so I hope you do too. He watched for a while, but he didn't approach the lady who was painting. His mom had told him that artists don't usually want to be bothered when they are working. And besides, Keith was shy. Over the next few days, Keith saw the same artist with her easel in several different places. If she noticed him, she always smiled, and Keith began to smile back. The following week, Keith walked into his kitchen to get a snack. Much to his surprise, there was his mom with the very same artist. They were both drinking tea at the kitchen table. Keith's mom introduced him to her good friend, Catherine, and explained that they had shared a room at college years before. "Hi, Keith. It's so nice to meet you. Your mom has been telling me that you have shown a lot of interest in the shore fast artists that you have been seen working around Fogo Island. That gives me an idea. I'm going to be set up with my painting gear near Squish Studio on Friday. Squish Studio is my home base for the summer. It would be so nice to have some company that day. Would you like to join me there? I have an extra easel that you could use. Keith replied, I would really like to. Is that okay, Mom? Keith's mom was fine with it as long as he promised to mind his manners. So when Friday came, Keith and Catherine met just after lunch. Catherine helped him set up the easel and showed him how much paint to squeeze out onto his palette. It was a lot less than he would have thought. And you might notice that this is the painting that is here behind me. And the palette is set up sort of in the colors of a rainbow. That's how I usually set up my palette when I'm painting. Now just look at what you see, she said, and paint what you feel. Don't worry about what it looks like. Just enjoy the process. Keith watched Catherine and did his best to follow her lead. She used bright blues and greens, so he did also. Where Catherine's movements were fast and sure, Keith's were slow and a little messy, but it didn't matter. It was so much fun. Catherine told Keith that she was from a big city far away and that she was in Fogo for the summer. She told him that she had never been to a place that was more beautiful and that he was so lucky to live there. And that is really true. Fogo Island and all of the places on Fogo Island are so, so beautiful, and anyone that lives there is quite fortunate indeed. Before Keith knew it, it was time for supper. He couldn't believe how quickly the time had passed, and although his paintings looked nothing like Catherine's, the colors were very pretty, and he knew his mom would love it. After that day, the two decided to meet every Friday to paint. Sometimes in between Fridays, Keith saw Catherine with her easel, and she would wave at him and smile. Catherine found endless scenes to capture. She painted the sea, the sky, the land, as well as the villages and the magnificent Fogo Island Inn. She spent almost a week on nearby Change Islands, painting the Newfoundland ponies that lived there. The summer was flying by. On one of their last Fridays together, Catherine told Keith about a very special painting that she was working on. The subject of this painting, she said, has been the greatest source of inspiration for me here in Fogo. I think it will be my best work yet. Keith wondered what the painting might be. Would it be Brimstone Head? Jobat's Point? Maybe it would be one of the gigantic icebergs that had drifted by. Or perhaps it was one of the old buildings, the school or Bleak House. Or maybe Catherine's special painting would be the view from the inn's dining room. Keith couldn't decide. It could be anything. The summer was nearly over. Catherine would soon be leaving and Keith would be heading back to school. However, there was a very important event before all of that. Catherine was having an exhibit of all the beautiful art that she had painted on Fogo Island. The exhibit was taking place in the spacious gallery at the Fogo Island Inn. Keith and his mom were definitely going, and he was so excited. He felt lucky to have gotten to know Catherine and paint with her. He knew it was a summer he would remember forever. Keith also felt happy because he knew that his mom had a thoughtful gift for Catherine. It was a quilt that was lovingly made to thank Catherine for all the Fridays she had painted with Keith. The quilt was full of color and life, just like Catherine's work. As Keith walked through the exhibit, he smiled as he recognized many of the beautiful paintings. He noticed Catherine standing toward the end of the display. He couldn't see the painting that was behind her. Just then she moved, and Keith gasped. There he was, looking back at himself from the canvas. As Catherine watched Keith's reaction, she had a big grin on her face, but at the same time, her eyes were shimmering with tears. Keith realized that even though Catherine had been deeply touched by the beauty and history of Fogo Island, he had inspired her even more. It was the best feeling ever, one he would never forget. Keith knew that because of that summer, Fogo was now one of Catherine's favorite corners of the earth, too. And that is the end of the story. Isn't that lovely? The most inspiring thing that the artist Catherine found on the island of Fogo was this young man who showed so much interest in learning how to paint and asked her about it, which made her feel all that much more excited about painting herself. And in the back of my book, I have a lot of information about Fogo Island that a person can read, all about how it became known as one of the four corners of the earth, and all about the beautiful things that you can do and see if you are there. So that is the end, and I really hope that you enjoyed this reading of my book. And why don't you check out some of the other readings that I've done right here on the YouTube channel. Thank you, and you have a great day.